Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I am here to discuss my latest read, which is My Salty Mary from the Lady Janies. This is the newest and last one in the Mary trilogy, I guess you could call it, which was My Contrary Mary, My Imaginary Mary, and now My Salty Mary. And it's also like the second trilogy from the Lady Janies, following My Lady Jane, My Plain Jane, and My Calamity Jane. I was so excited for this one. It was definitely one of my most anticipated of the year. But you know, since that reading slump was reading slumping, I did not get around to reading it until now, even though I had bought it when it first came out. When I did finally pick it up, I was obsessed. I could not put it down, and it was so good. I think, and this is wild to say, I think out of all the ones I've read from the Lady Janies, this is my favorite one so far. And I haven't read them all, so maybe they'll get even better. But I've read My Plain Jane, My Lady Jane, I read 2/3 of My Calamity Jane, and then My Salty Mary, and this one just combined all the elements and all the aspects that make these books so great all into one. So if you don't know the backstory with the My Lady Janie books, basically they take historical figures and give them happier endings. So in the original one, Lady Jane is this queen who was queen for like 10 days, I think, and then got her head chopped off. So they made it so she actually survives. And now we're looking at Mary. So this book specifically is about Mary Read, but also Anne Bonny, because it does take place in the time of pirates. Now, I had actually heard of Mary Read and Anne Bonny from the, I can't even remember what it actually is called, but like the BuzzFeed series that Shane from BuzzFeed Unsolved did. He did like a weird one. I say weird in like the best way possible, but weird in like it's not things you normally hear about, like a history lesson kind of, and one of them was on Anne Bonny and Mary Read specifically. And the line that's always stuck with me ever since is, I believe it's Anne Bonny that says it. She says it in this one. They use the quote because it's just such a good quote. If you had fought like men, then you wouldn't hang like dogs. So I think that sets the tone pretty well of how these characters are. Now this book though not only combines the aspects of piracy, but also brings in the fantastical element of mermaids, which is really fun. I feel like mermaids is like something I always love, but I just never read a lot of books by it. I don't know why. I think because it's just so easy to fall into like reading like Little Mermaid retellings where Ursula is like scorned by some guy and that's why she turns bad. So this is a retelling-ish of The Little Mermaid because we meet Mary, who is our Little Mermaid, soon to be pirate, right after she gets her heart broken by Charles, who is like Eric in this situation. It definitely takes place more of the like Brothers Grimm kind of one where she turns into Seafoam at the end because the guy doesn't love her back, and then she can kill him or turn into Seafoam, and she chooses to turn into Seafoam. Our Mary does not turn into Seafoam though, and instead climbs aboard a pirate ship and becomes a pirate. So she is one of the point of views that we get. We also get Tobias, who is like her first mate best friend on the pirate ship that she ends up joining, and her love interest. And then the third point of view we get is Mary's cousin Jack, who recently found out that he's also half human, and he started a relationship with Anne Bonny, and they all meet for this big announcement that Blackbeard, who is Tobias's dad, is announcing, and that is that, well, he doesn't get to announce it because it says this, so it's not a spoiler, but Blackbeard's dead. If you're looking for this to be a Blackbeard book, he's not in it. He's dead. But his announcement that they put forth is that they are founding this community of retired pirates who are going to be the judges on this new contest for who will step up and basically take his role as the Pirate King. And there's this contest that is made to be who can get the most treasure, and then they will be named the Pirate King. Now this was important for a multitude of reasons, but Mary in particular and Anne, they really want to be pirates. Anne wants to be a pirate. Mary's masquerading as a man on her ship to be a pirate because women are considered bad luck on ships and thus not allowed to be pirates, which, you know, for pirates who already like shun society and are like, we're gonna follow our own rules, it's pretty crummy that they still are like, nah, women can't come on the ship. So Mary hides her identity for a majority of it and like is, you know, kind of trying to win this contest to prove that like women deserve to be pirates, and that if she were in charge, women would get to be pirates and have all those opportunities and choices that they want. The main villain though is her old former captain Van, who is just your classic typical mustache twirling villain. He hates women. He doesn't want to retire. He thinks pirates just like should be the worst kind of pirates possible. So he's really a thorn in the side for the majority of the book. But I would say that the main story is about Mary, Tobias, Anne, and Jack. Originally, I was kind of like, oh, that stinks that Anne doesn't get a point of view. But I think there's already so much going on with the 3 point of views with Jack, Tobias, and Mary that to throw in hers would just take away too much of the story. And I think she as a character compared to those 3 is someone who's already so assured in her life and assured in herself. She knows she wants to be a pirate. She knows she loves Jack. Like, she kind of knows what she wants to do with her life. She's run away from her old life and all that. So I think it's very fun and different to see a main character like that who, again, we don't get her point of view, but I think it's just because she's such a well-established character that she doesn't really have to have growth that we have to see her go through. So to have her point of view would just be taken away from the characters that do need to go through some growth. But I absolutely love it. The relationships in this are amazing. Like, first of all, the characters, amazing. There's not a bad one in this. Like, normally when it's split in point of views, there's sometimes a point of view that you don't like as much as the other ones, or that you're like, oh, it's taking away from the action. But the way they split these point of views and the way they split the story to tell the point of views, it just flows seamlessly. Like, you would never guess that this is written by 3 different people because it just works so extremely well in like getting from one chapter to the next, one point of view to the next. And everyone is equally interesting. I think 1, because they're well written and likable, but also 2, because they just have their own differences. Like, Mary is a woman, she's a mermaid. She's struggling in both of those aspects because she doesn't feel like she belongs undersea. She doesn't want to be there, but her dad doesn't understand that. She wants to be a pirate, but she's in this world where women are not thought of as being pirates, and everyone's kind of against her from the start. Tobias is trying to live up to his dad's expectation and also reputation because he is Blackbeard's son, and kind of the guilt he has about shunning the life that his father wanted for him, while also, you know, his dad died, so he had the last conversation he had with him. And then Jack is not only trying to figure out his way on land, but also looking for his dad, who, now that he discovered he's newly half human. So they all kind of have their own struggles and everything like that, and it's just really, really interesting to see all of them and see what they learn throughout it and just see their different personalities develop. I like all of them. There's not even one that I can particularly say I like more than the other. They're just all so interesting and cool, and the relationships in this are some of the best relationships I've ever seen written. I've said this before, but I love the trend of like putting the like emotionally distant, rude, brooding love interest behind us for these just very like emotionally intelligent, communicative, honest, kind guys. Like, Jack and Tobias are both just such absolute sweethearts, and I just love that they love their women. Like, Jack in particular, I really love that he doesn't try and tamp down Bond's like violence or her rage or her want to be a pirate. Like, he embraces that and like thinks she's beautiful when she's like in the midst of battle and everything like that. And I think there's just so many times where it's like, you could see easily where it could have been written like, oh, she's saying that, and that's a little far for Jack, but instead he's just like, she's never looked more beautiful. And I just love that. I love the idea of someone just like falling completely in love with who you are, and like they never have like, they're just who they are. They're just so settled and established, and I just really love that. I think that's great. And then Tobias and Mary are so adorable. They're kind of a will they won't they for a lot of it because they're friends and they don't want to ruin that. And I think Mary, in one, having to hide who she is both as a mermaid and as a girl, and Tobias does know that she's a girl from the first time he meets her. He doesn't know she's a mermaid though. And then Mary also has obviously some trauma left over from her last relationship and how she thought that was true love and everything, and it just turned out that he was just not that interested in her and just not a great guy. So she's kind of sworn off love. She says like it's not worth it. And again, when you're a mermaid who the potential of having your heart broken by true love can turn you into sea foam, I could see why you're a little hesitant to fall in love with someone else, but just the way it develops is so cute. Like, there's this quote that I just absolutely love where Tobias is kind of trying to comfort Jack and say like, you know, you're a good man, Jack, said Tobias to bolster him. Mayor or otherwise, Anne would be a fool not want to see that. She'll come around. Jack beamed. Do you think so? I do, Tobias said, then mumbled, of course, I'm no expert in the ways of the heart myself. You're doing all right, Mary said quietly. Tobias looked up startled. The corner of her mouth was turned in a tiny smile. He found himself smiling back. Really? Like, they're just really cute like that, and like, just, I love like friends first because you have that deep bond, then they develop from there. The relationships are so, so cute. Like, I can't get over them. They're just adorable. Some of the best, again, I have ever read. And the action scenes, guys, the action scenes feel like I'm watching a movie. I kid you not. Like, it so delivers on, like, the, like, scariness of it, because I think everyone thinks of, like, being a pirate is, like, so fun and everything like that. But then there's also that fear of, like, every single fight you have could be your last. Like, you're getting cannonballs shot at you. There's swords everywhere. You're on the high sea, so, like, even if you manage to get out of this fight, you could just fall in the ocean and die, which for the mermaids is not that bad, but I think they do a great job, like, putting you in that, of, like, that high intensity, the fight, and not only the fight, but how, like, Mary and Tobias and people who want to be pirates like this, how they kind of come alive in that. You know, how it's like, this is what Mary feels like she's made for. And there's a lot of times where they talk about how, like, her and Tobias are so in sync fighting. Like, they literally fight, like, back to back and can just, like, read each other's minds. And the action scenes, like, literally feel like swashbuckling. Like, it feels like the perfect word for it, because it just feels like you're so involved in it. And I love that there's so many elements to this. Of it's like the contest, but then there's also the idea of so many of them are against the contest as a whole, because it's like pirates, the whole point of them is that there's not supposed to be a king. It's like they're kind of just supposed to, like, respect each other, and there's a democracy among them, but it's not like one person can tell everyone else what to do, which is kind of what's happening with how they're like, girls can't be in here. So that's more why Mary wants to go for it, as well as to prove to her dad that she does belong up here. So there's like that great way of using like piracy and using the ideas that are still around today to show like how equality and how like sexism really like is in society, you know, because it's like in this pirate thing, which is supposed to be like against like societal norms and everything like that, and it rejects it. They still uphold this idea that like girls are lesser and like girls can't do the stuff that they do. So I feel like even though it takes place hundreds of years ago, those ideas of like hearing a guy say like, you can't do this because you're a girl, I have like the reputation because I'm a guy and guys trust me and they know they can rely on me, like that doesn't feel outdated. That still feels like a problem that unfortunately we have to deal with today. And that's why it gives not only a common enemy with a van, but also a common idea of like, you know this feeling. You know when you've had to work twice as hard to prove yourself because of your gender or the color of your skin, or just not fitting into like the norm that we've deemed in society. And I just think setting it in this fun, entertaining, loving book is just so amazing. So I feel like the fact that they could get all those kind of things all wrapped up of like legacy and what it means to belong and what happens when you don't belong in the place you've been raised, or you feel like you do belong in somewhere that says you're not made for it. Like all these ideas and everything just shown throughout these characters and through the journey they go on. So amazing. I could not recommend it more. If you have read any Lady Janie book, or if you've seen the show My Lady Jane, I definitely recommend it. I think this is also like my favorite cover so far. I don't love the feel. It's like a shiny feel. I'm never a fan of those, but I just love the cover, and it says like Pirate Princess, Little Mermaid, Big Dreams. She's got legs. Like, it's just a very beautiful cover, and I just really like I just like it so much. So I really hope that they write more. I don't know what name they would take next, but there's definitely some out there. I want them to take on all 6 of Henry's, the 8th, the 7th. You know what? I don't know his name, and I feel like that's fine. I'm not going to bother to correct that because he deserves to be forgotten. The Wise, on the other hand, I want books of like all of them being redeemed through these and getting their happily ever afters, because that is truly what this is about. Is like, these are people who like had bad things happen to them, but in this way we get to give them a happily ever after, and I just love that so much. So this book was so fun and so exciting, and definitely like I've been in a bit of a reading slump lately, so for it to have been on my shelf for so long and then been even better than I was expecting it to be was great. It's one of those books that like as I'm reading it in the back of my mind I'm like 4 stars, 4 stars, and then about like halfway through on like our like 10th pirate fight I'm like, I love this book. This is absolutely a 5-star book. So yeah, I gave it 5 stars, and if you have read it or are interested in reading it, let me know what you thought about it down below in the comments, what your favorite characters were, and what you thought of the ships and all this, the literal ships, because like I said, just Anne and they both have so much of my heart. I can't even say, like, they're different in like what I respect and love about them, but I just love them both so much. Like Anne and Jack, I just love that he's like, that's my woman. And then like Tobias and Mary, I just love that like they see each other and they recognize each other and they got each other and there's so much trust there and love. And I could go on and on. So yeah, if you have read it, let me know what you thought about it down below in the comments. Also make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!